guys, what's up? It is Michelle and we are back. Today we're going to be talking about stop number 2 of my trip, which is San Francisco and visiting Minerva for the first time.
Stop number 1 was New York and visiting NYU for the first time since I dropped out. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. If you're like, what trip? What is she talking about? Who is this chick? What's going on? Go watch the rest of my videos.
So first off, I just want to say that Ascent, which is Minerva's admit weekend, was way more intense and informative than I thought it was going to be. That means get ready for a jam-packed video. We're gonna break it up into 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to give you guys a rundown about the conclusions that I made about the school from this weekend, what my first impression thoughts were, and just, general tea. A lot of it's going to be kind of broad and vague, but stick with me because in the second part, I'm going to be telling you exactly what we did during Ascent, and during that section, you're going to see a lot of the videos that I took throughout the weekend and hear specific examples about things that I mentioned in the first part. Woo! So let's get started. First off, what surprised me most about visiting the school, and what I don't think you can really tell from just looking at their website or their Instagram, is that Minerva is not only a school, but an incredibly smart business. It is also borderline a cult. To elaborate on this a bit more, first off, they are creating an entirely new model for education, university education specifically, that comes with its own language. I'm gonna break it down to you because it's interesting and also for the sake of the video so you know what I'm talking about. First up is Forum. Forum is the name of the online platform that we use to take classes. You're going to get to see exactly what it looks like in the second part of the video, so stick with me here.
But essentially you can see everybody's faces, you click a button for when you want to talk, and you click a different button for when you want to raise your hand, and you click a bunch of other different buttons to react to people with these little emojis while they're talking.
Outside of your explicit classes, there are co-curriculars and micos which enhance your educational experience. Co-curriculars are activities that are organized by the school to help you interact on a deeper level with the city that you're living in. They also help you see what it's like in a specific career field in real life. So for example, you might get to talk to several entrepreneurs that founded their own startup that has to do with environmental sustainability. Or you might go visit Google's headquarters. Micos, on the other hand, are completely student run. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what Mico stands for, but they are essentially clubs. Now on to more conceptual stuff in terms of Minerva language. So all the academics are based on this thing called systematic learning. When you hear Ben Nelson, who is the founder and president of Minerva, speak, he always talks about systematic learning. This is essentially learning how to learn how to deal with new information that's being thrown at you and think about it critically and organize your thoughts, etc. The other thing that's talked about all the time at Minerva is intentionality. So literally every single thing that the school does can be connected back to some bigger mission or theme or core value.
I know this all sounds super vague, but you're going to see specific examples of what I mean in the second half of the video.
The last thing about Minerva lingo, just so you're not confused for the rest of the video, is that they do not call it Class of 2020 or Class of 2021. Instead of classes, it's abbreviated to M. I'm Class of 2023, so we are M23. Got it. The second thing I wanted to mention is Ben Nelson. Like I mentioned before, Ben Nelson is the founder and president of Minerva. The school is his brainchild, it is his baby. He has a very strong and distinct and ambitious vision for what he wants the school to be, and he is definitely not shy in selling it to anyone and everyone around him all the time. The vision is that Minerva is this elite university that is the best of the best in terms of education that you can find in the entire world, and that the students who get admitted into the school are also the best of the best, and when they graduate they're even better and they take over the world and they are the future and they're the next great leaders and CEOs. I know it sounds extreme, but that's essentially what his vision is. Say what you will about it, but personally I think you need to be that extreme and that confident to do what he's doing. At the same time though, the guy is super charismatic and down to earth. He literally spent an entire day with us Ascentees. That's something I forgot to mention with Minerva lingo. All the prospective students who attended Ascent are called Ascentees. He spent an entire day with us, answering any questions we had and explaining to us his vision for the school and how it came to life. And during the big feast was literally sitting right next to me, just chatting, having a casual conversation. So he's extremely involved with the school and with making sure that every little detail is exactly what he wants it to be. The third important thing I wanted to talk about is that Minerva has a hyper strong sense of community and very much actively works to create that. First of all, it's very natural that the students are going to have this close bond because they are all sharing a very unique experience that outsiders don't really understand. Beyond that, the school has a lot of traditions and rites of passage for first years that I'm not totally sure about yet, all of which are done to create a stronger sense of community and to really solidify those bonds between students. So for example, there's a tradition called 1001, which is when a group of students from the same country do a presentation about their culture, their language, and make food to share with the rest of us. There's also Minerva Talks, where one student gets up in front of the rest of their peers and essentially shares their entire life story. There is also, and this is the part that I feel is kind of culty, 2 things that we do during Ascent that we're literally not allowed to talk about with anyone else. These 2 secret things we did during Ascent aren't anything weird or illegal, don't worry, but they're definitely very, very unique and heartfelt experiences. So when you've gone through something like that together, and on top of it you can't tell anyone else, obviously that's going to contribute to a very strong sense of community. Throughout the weekend, I really felt like this was the part about Minerva that I liked the most, the people and this sense of community. From the students to the staff, everyone is just wonderful, and it's a very great environment. This brings me to the 4th and final thing I wanted to mention before we jump into what exactly we did during Ascent. And that is, students are really the main driving force in really establishing and building up Minerva as not only a school but an institution and business. Minerva felt a lot more like a small startup than I was expecting it to, one that's really tight-knit, where everybody really knows each other, and for me, I think that's a really cool thing. For example, if you have work study as part of your financial aid package, you are going to be given a very important job at the school.
So maybe you are an RA. You're going to be taking photos at Minerva events for publicity to put on their website. You might be the sole person for North American outreach. Or you might sit on the admissions committee and literally get to play a role in choosing who is accepted and not accepted into Minerva.
It actually blew my mind how much responsibility Minerva gave its students in building up the school and the institution. That being said, Minerva is definitely not perfect. Actually visiting and talking to current students, I got a lot of that dirty laundry inside scoop on some of the tea, but in the end it's technical issues, it's not something fundamentally wrong with the school. So for example, the logistics in terms of renting residential halls, and the fact that M19, their first graduating class, never made it to Taiwan. There were various rumors on why that happened, but I'm pretty sure it had to do with, once again, the logistics in terms of residential halls, because in the end Minerva doesn't own any of the buildings, all of it's leased out. Also, speaking of the dorms, they are not the nicest living situation in terms of the whole spectrum of college dorms you can have. But personally, I think these are very small, superficial, technical issues. In the end, the school has an amazing, very strong vision and a lot of talented people that are working very hard to make it come to life. I think they've done a great job so far, and I'm really excited for these next 4 years. Okay, so now on to what exactly did we do during this entire weekend. So I actually landed in San Francisco from New York a day early, so I went down to Palo Alto to visit my sister who studies in Stanford and stayed with her for 2 nights. Friday was the first day of Ascent, so I took the Caltrain into San Francisco early in the morning.
Hello, I'm currently walking to Minerva from the Caltrain station. It's been about a 40-minute walk, so kind of long, but so nice. I cannot articulate how excited I am right now to get to Minerva and to meet anybody. I mean, everybody and anybody. Yeah, things are great. San Francisco's beautiful. Life is good.
The first official Ascent event started at 5 o'clock and I got there around 11. So during the weekend, all our accommodation and food was completely covered by the school, and we stayed with current M22 students in their dorms.
My student host was Christina. She's an RA, and she is super nice. If you're watching this, Christina, thank you so much for hosting me. You're the best.
So I dropped off my stuff in Christina's dorm, and I met up with a couple other Ascentees, and we went out to explore the city a bit. This pre-Ascent time was actually one of my favorite parts of the weekend, because like I said, the people is really what made the experience so incredible. And everyone is from literally everywhere, like Brazil, Morocco, Israel, Australia, the US, China. Like, people are literally just from everywhere, and everyone wants to learn about each other and each other's countries and life stories, and there's just such an excitement for life. After exploring around San Francisco for a couple hours, we make it back to the residential hall at 5 p.m. for the first event. All the activities for the first day on Friday take place in the res hall because the first day focuses on the more social aspect of Minerva life. There's a common room upstairs where we play some typical icebreaker games to get to know each other. Then current M22 students take us out to dinner in different locations around the city that are personal favorites of theirs. After hanging out for a bit, we got to experience two of the Minerva traditions I mentioned before, which is 1001 and Minerva Talks. For Ascent's 1001, we learned about Malaysia. After all of this, people were exhausted but still stayed up and talked in the hallways well into the night, and apparently this is very common. Then there was Saturday, which is the big meaty day of Ascent that is jam-packed.
Hey guys, it's the second day of Ascent. Sarneet, do you want to say hi? This is my new friend Sarneet. We're dead right now because we did so much yesterday, and now we have a full day, like literally full day, back to back, packed with events. So here we go. Ah!
Most of Saturday was spent at the Minerva headquarters, which you can see in this video. We met Ben Nelson for the first time, and he explained to us Minerva and his vision and how the school came to be. There was also an overarching theme for Ascent, which was sustainability and food waste. This is a theme that we focused on in both the co-curricular and the mock class that we took. So as part of it, we actually met two people who work in the field of sustainability.
One of them was a founder of a startup. The other guy was a scientist that grows meat. So instead of killing the animal, you grow the meat from stem cells in a lab.
After that, we took a sample class on the infamous forum.
We're about to take a mock class. Are you ready?
As you can see, this is what it looks like. And this is an example of the intentionality that I was talking about before. So during the class, once again, the theme was food waste and sustainability. So we talked about this brand of chips called Chirps.
One of the main ingredients for Chirps is crickets, and that's because crickets are extremely nutritious and don't really harm the environment in their production.
So we learned about Chirps in this sample class. And then when we get back to the dorms, they're like, we have a surprise for you. And they start throwing us bags of Chirps. So after taking the mock class and taking a short break at the dorm, we go to this community farm. This is an example of the co-curriculars that I was talking about before, where you get to interact with the city and learn more about a specific field. In this case, the theme of Ascent, which is sustainability. The farm was really beautiful. We learned about beekeeping. We got our hands dirty and planted some plants. When we came back to the dorm, we got a chance to talk with some M19 students, who is Minerva's first graduating class ever. The official Ascent events ended with the feast. The feast took place in the other residential hall, so the one that the M19 students are staying in. They could have catered the food, but instead, once again with the whole intentionality thing, they wanted to home cook it for us. So it was prepared by current M22 students, as well as the director of student life. And they made ramen for us because they thought that it was a really good symbol of what Minerva is, which is a mix of all these different diverse ingredients. And even though that was the official end of Ascent, because of course the students themselves are so excited about the Minerva experience and want to share it with us Ascentees, so a bunch of people in M22 took us to Corona Heights, which is this hike up this hill in San Francisco where you get a great view of the city. And we brought a speaker and we were listening to music, and it was a great bonding experience. The entire time we were singing and laughing and dancing in the streets, and it was a really nice way to close off an amazing weekend. I definitely feel like I got a much better idea of what my 4 years at Minerva is going to be like. I am super excited, and I hope you guys are too, to come with me on this journey through YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to come back every Wednesday for new videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!